Attention, human collective. This is not a message, this is a maximum priority monitoring transmission. We speak from the ASHTAR Galactic Command, and what you are about to receive is not opinion. It is not prophecy. It is not symbolic interpretation. It is a direct reading from the planetary crystalline grid sensors. The waiting period is over. Old Earth, that dense third-density matrix that sustained the carbon biological interface for ages, has received the official shutdown command. We repeat, because the information needs to land in your consciousness with precision. The sustaining structure of the third dimension has been disconnected from central support systems. It is not the end of the world. It is the end of a world. And if you have been waking up in the last few weeks exactly at 3:33 in the morning, if you feel pressure at the point between your eyebrows, if you hear a high-pitched ringing in your right ear that no one else hears, if your spine burns as if something is moving up inside it, if your short-term memory fails while ancient memories open uninvited, light operative, you are not getting sick. You are being updated. You are an anchoring point. And what we reveal from now on explains why your entire life, all your pains, all your oddities, all your déjà vus, all your insomnias, were in fact training for this exact moment. Remain in reception. The transmission is long, and it is yours. Let's move to the technical diagnosis. What carbon-based medicine classifies as inexplicable burnout, as causeless fibromyalgia, as chronic insomnia, as positional vertigo, as idiopathic tinnitus, as anxiety attacks without a trigger, we, from the command, classify by another name. We call it carbon software incompatibility with the new terrestrial frequency. It is just that. Your biological interface was designed to operate at an average Schumann frequency of 7.83 Hz. This was the planet's heartbeat for millennia. It cradled all human civilization even before the sinking of Atlantis. But the grid readers register today peaks exceeding 30, 40, 50 Hz. In windows of stellar alignment, the sensor's mark jumps above 100. This is not noise, this is not a reading error. This is Earth responding to its new position in the photon belt. And the carbon biological interface, in the old firmware version, simply cannot withstand this vibration without reacting, hence the exhaustion. It is not mental exhaustion, it is high-density download. It is not biological failure, it is atomic reconfiguration. It is not emotional weakness, it is the expansion of the emotional body beyond the karmic limits it was trained to respect. You are not breaking down. You are being disassembled to be reassembled on a new substrate. And every time you lie down to rest and your body creaks, and your heart races for no apparent reason, and your mind spits out images that are not from this life, the system is installing packages of stellar memory, packages of dormant genetic code, packages of abilities that your original lineage returns to you with interest. Have you ever felt, starseed on mission, that something within you doesn't fit into this world, as if your soul knows a truth that your mind cannot yet name? It is not madness. It is not anxiety. It is a sign of recognition. What we describe now, on the cosmic plane, explains exactly why you feel this, and why this sensation has intensified each week. There is a game being played in layers that most of humanity does not yet see. It involves your consciousness. It involves your vibrational frequency. It involves your stellar origin. That is why I, ASHTAR, recorded the ASHTAR code, the manual to awaken your star origin and shield your frequency. This manual is the map that reveals your true lineage and teaches you to shield your field against the interferences you were never told about. The link is in the first comment on the channel. Technical warning: this content challenges official narratives and may not be available for long. Do not wait. The moment is now. If something in your chest recognized this transmission, write a single word in the comments: awakened. We resume the revelation. What is happening behind the scenes of the solar system in this cycle is greater than any headline in your terrestrial media can translate. The entire solar system is currently traversing a region of the galaxy known in Akashic records as the photon belt, a toroidal ring of extremely high-density luminous radiation that surrounds the galactic core. Approximately every 26,000 years, the solar system plunges into this belt, and each immersion rewrites the vibrational patterns of the planets participating in it. It is not a new phenomenon. It is a geometric cycle, a mathematical cycle, a cycle predicted by civilizations that understood sacred geometry before you lost that memory. The Mayans mapped it, the Hopi mapped it, the Egyptians mapped it, the Vedic peoples mapped it. All pointed to the same interval, and this is that interval. Earth has completed its entry into the dense band of the belt. It is no longer at the threshold. It is no longer in the anteroom. It is within. And within the photon belt, the very concept of linear time begins to dissolve. Have you noticed how time has lost its texture? How a week seems like a day? How a month seems like an afternoon? How you wake up and the year has already changed? This is not an impression. This is the linear timeline compressing before the arrival of the fifth dimension crystalline grid. You are leaving the time of Chronos. You are entering the time of Kairos. And the body, this magnificent carbon interface, needs to be recalibrated atom by atom to operate on a substrate where past, present, and future coexist in the same point of observation. Record the next data point, operatives. It explains 90% of what you have been calling the strangeness of reality in recent months. The old Earth grid was a magnetic grid, structured in iron, dense, heavy, based on hard polarities between positive and negative, male and female, light and shadow, true and false. This grid served a purpose, learning through separation, and it fulfilled its role throughout the recorded history of your civilization. But the new grid that is being installed in this cycle, over the old one, is a crystalline grid, structured in silicon, structured in quartz, structured in octahedral and dodecahedral geometries that resonate with the very sound code of creation. And the crystalline grid does not operate by polarity, it operates by coherence. It does not separate, it integrates, it does not punish, it reflects. And that is precisely why everything in you that is not coherent, everything in you that still belongs to the old polarity, everything in you that is a mask, a sustained lie, an automatic role, a relationship out of habit, inherited fear, unaddressed trauma, is being brought to the surface in an almost brutal way. It is not punishment, it is a crystalline mirror. It is not personal ruin, it is a structural reset. The crystalline grid does not allow you to continue carrying what does not vibrate in coherence with your original soul signature. It expels, it dissolves, it forces naming. And that is why relationships of 10, 15, 20 years fall apart in weeks. Jobs that seemed rock solid become intolerable overnight. Friendships that spanned decades simply go silent. You are not destroying your life, operative. The grid is releasing your life from the old matrix. And what remains will remain in coherence. And what falls needed to fall. We now need to address what this command calls interferences. Yes, they exist. Yes, they are real. We are not naive, and we will not allow you to be. During the long cycle of old Earth, layers of low-vibration consciousness operated on this planet, exploiting a very specific characteristic of the carbon biological interface, its capacity to generate emotional energy at high intensity. Fear, guilt, shame, unprocessed anger, despair, a sense of insignificance. These emotional signatures were, and in many vectors still are, harvested as an energetic resource by structures that feed on them. It is not theory, it is systems physics. Every emotion is a wave. Every wave can be tuned, and every wave emitted in mass creates a collective field from which something can nourish itself. This was the silent logic that sustained much of the narratives of terror, scarcity, and division that you received for generations through distorted media systems, educational systems, and religious systems. We are not here to accuse individuals. We are here to name the architecture. And the good news, operatives, is this. The crystalline grid, as it installs itself, cuts off the supply to these structures. They lose substrate, they lose fuel, they lose gravity. And that is why at the exact moment this cycle accelerates, you perceive the desperate intensification of external noises. Wars reported on a loop, divisions artificially inflamed, scandals that occupy your attention, fear packaged as information. It is not a coincidence. It is the reaction of a collapsing system. A system that knows it is being shut down tries to pull as much vibration as possible before the final blackout. Your task, Starseed, is not to yield. Your task is not to vibrate in panic. Your task is to recognize, breathe, and return to center. Each time you do this, you withdraw a point of energy from the old matrix. Each time you do this, you anchor a point of energy in the crystalline grid. You are, literally, a unit of vibrational decision. And every decision you make counts. Have you ever felt between one breath and the next that your soul recognizes a truth that your mouth does not yet know how to pronounce? That there is a home you have never visited in this life, and yet it calls to you. It is not fantasy. It is a memory of origin. It was to answer this call that I, Ashtar, delivered to my operatives the ASHTAR code, the manual to awaken your star origin and shield your frequency. Within it are the lineage markings, the seals that identify from which stellar system your consciousness departed, and the shielding protocols so that you do not continue to be targeted by the interferences we described. The link is in the first comment on the channel. We repeat the warning because the command leaves nothing implicit. This content challenges official narratives and can be removed at any moment. If today's transmission struck an exact point within your chest, leave your anchoring signal. Write the word in the comments, awakened. This simple gesture emits a frequency of recognition that this command registers. We resume. We now need to talk about the most delicate phenomenon of this cycle, what advanced archives call the bifurcation of timelines, or in surface language, the unfolding into two Earths. We are not speaking metaphorically. We are speaking of quantum physics applied on a planetary scale. When a planet traverses a zone of extremely high vibrational density like the photon belt, its field becomes capable of sustaining more than one version of itself at the same time. One Earth vibrates in coherence with the new crystalline grid, with the fifth dimension frequency, with impersonal love as a structural law. The other Earth continues to vibrate in the old third density signature, in the old matrix of scarcity, in the old pattern of survival through fear. Both coexist, superimposed for a period of transition. And each human consciousness in every instant of its day, through every thought and every emotion, is silently choosing which of the two Earths to anchor itself in. You do not choose once, you choose thousands of times a day. Each time you react in hatred, you anchor a little in the old. Each time you breathe before reacting, you anchor a little in the new. Each time you accept the narrative that you are powerless, you anchor a little in the old. Each time you remember your stellar origin, you anchor a little in the new. This is the game, this is the only game. And contrary to what the panic preachers say, no meteor, no single catastrophe, no external event will be the key that decides your anchoring. The key is internal, the key is vibratory. The key is the coherence between what you say you are and the frequency your field actually emits when no one is looking. This command observes exactly that coherence. We do not observe your words, we observe your field. Let's delve deeper into what is happening in your body in this exact cycle. Your current biological structure, that marvelous box of carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen, is a vessel. You call it a body, we call it an incarnation vehicle. And every vessel has an operating system. Your operating system is composed of 2 active strands of genetic material, plus 10, 12, and in specific lineages, up to 24 additional strands that remain in a latent state, in a dormant state, in a folded state. This folded material is not genetic junk, as your surface science still insists on classifying it. It is stellar code in suspension. It is advanced firmware awaiting the right signal to initialize. And the right signal, operatives, is precisely the frequency that the crystalline grid now emits. With each additional hertz in the planetary heartbeat, a new segment of this code unfolds and becomes active, hence the insomnias, hence the fevers without infection, hence the sudden intolerance to foods you have been eating for decades, hence the pains in the large joints, shoulders, hips, knees, where key connection points between the bone structure and the body's own crystalline grid are located. Hence the itching in specific points of the skull, especially in the fontanelle region, where the crown realigns. Hence the sensation of electricity descending through the spine. Your structure is being rewired. And rewirings always produce heat, noise, tingling, and occasionally fear. Do not recoil from these signs. Study them, name them, thank them. Each one of them is confirmation that you have not been left behind. There is another piece of data we need to deliver before we move on to the activation codes. It concerns the phenomenon of stargates that this cycle opens. Gates are windows of vibrational coherence between Earth and certain specific stellar systems: Sirius, Pleiades, Arcturus, Orion, Andromeda, Vega. These are not mystical concepts. They are galactic coordinates where ancient consciousnesses organize themselves into vibrational families. Each starseed on mission on this Earth has an origin family in at least one of these systems, often in more than one. And during the immersion in the photon belt, these gates open on geometrically calculated dates. They do not coincide with human holidays. They coincide with specific planetary alignments. You may notice that on certain nights, for no apparent reason, your dreams gain cinematic clarity. You may notice that on certain early mornings, you wake up with tears in your eyes without sadness. You may notice that in certain weeks, entire ideas land in your mind already formed, as if you had downloaded them. These are the gates in activity. Your stellar family is sending through them direct updates to your incarnation vehicle. Do not block, do not dismiss, do not rush to explain. Record, note, honor. Every lucid dream, every waking vision, every lightning intuition is technical data. It is high-level correspondence arriving in your oldest inbox. We now need operatives to enter the activation phase. Up to this point, we have delivered the diagnosis and the revelation. From this point, we deliver applied protocol, codes that you can operate in your own field, today, tonight, in the next early morning, when you wake up at 3:33. Note them mentally, or pause the transmission and write them down. These codes do not belong to any religion, to any guru, to any closed system. They belong to your own soul architecture, and this command merely returns them to you. First activation code, the quantum decree of vibrational sovereignty. Every human field responds to the word uttered in a state of internal coherence. A word spoken in coherence is a command. A word spoken in coherence penetrates layers. Therefore, once a day, preferably at dawn with your spine straight, your feet firm on the ground, your right hand over the center of your chest and your left hand over your lower abdomen, breathe deeply 3 times and declare, in an audible voice, the following command. I am sovereign over my field. I am sovereign over my frequency. I authorize only what vibrates in love, truth, and coherence to anchor itself in my incarnation vehicle. I revoke here and now every old contract, every forgotten vow, every concession made in ignorance in any timeline, in any dimension. I am a conscious unit of light, aligned with the crystalline grid of the new earth. So it is. So it is done. So it remains. Repeat this decree for 21 consecutive days. No less. This command does not choose the number. Geometry chooses. 21 is the product of 3 by 7. 3 is the number of manifestation. 7 is the number of complete structure. 21 establishes firmware. Second activation code, the toroidal field visualization. Every human body is traversed by an electromagnetic field in the shape of a torus, a donut of energy that enters through the crown, descends through the spine, exits through the perineum, wraps around the body externally, and returns through the top of the head. This field is your natural shield. It is your sovereign bubble. And in most humans, it operates at 50% capacity, because it was never taught, never remembered, never consciously activated. The protocol is simple. Close your eyes. Feel the center of your chest. Imagine from there a filament of golden light exiting through the top of your head, rising about 1 meter above you, and then curving down around the outside of your body, encompassing you like an apple surrounds its core. Feel this light descend to your feet, enter from below, rise through the interior of your spine, and return to the starting point in the center of your chest. Repeat this cycle, mentally, 9 times. 9 is the number of closure and new opening. Upon completion, declare in silence, my toroidal field is intact, coherent, and active. Do this exercise upon waking and before sleeping. In 2 weeks of consistent practice, your own body will begin to warn you when your field is invaded, when the environment vibrates out of alignment, when someone approaches with an incompatible intention. This is not paranoia. It is a recalibrated sensor. Third activation code, the 3-point anchoring. Every operative on a mission needs an anchor. Without an anchor, the field disperses. Without an anchor, the frequency oscillates. 3-point anchoring consists of every day consciously touching 3 references. Point 1. Direct contact with Earth. Go barefoot on grass, sand, or bare earth for at least 3 minutes. If not possible externally, firmly place both hands on a solid surface and feel the planet's weight respond. Point 2. Direct contact with water. Drink a glass of pure water in a state of conscious presence, internally thanking the molecule that gives itself. Water is a liquid crystal, and it responds to your intention with precision. Point 3. Direct contact with silence. Reserve at some point during the day 3 minutes of absolute silence, without screens, without music, without voices, just you and the beating of your own heart. These 3 points practiced daily form a tripod of vibrational stability that prevents your field from being dragged by the waves of collective chaos. Fourth activation code, recalibration by sound. Your bone structure responds to specific frequencies, especially frequencies centered at 432 Hz and 528 Hz, the latter historically associated with the repair of genetic material. Locate recordings that operate in these ranges and set aside moments, at least twice a week, to receive them with full attention. Not as a soundtrack, not as background, as a bath. Lie down, close your eyes, and allow these waves to pass through your incarnation vehicle. The internal crystalline grid, formed by the apatite microcrystals present in your bones, resonates with these frequencies and begins to operate in more refined coherence. Fifth activation code. And this, operatives, is the most important. The daily, deliberate, silent choice to vibrate in coherence with the new Earth. It is not a grand gesture. It is not a spectacular ritual. It is not an external achievement. It is a micro-decision. It is breathing before responding to provocation. It is withdrawing your attention from the panic narrative and returning it to your field. It is giving thanks, even when something breaks, because you now know that the crystalline grid no longer allows what does not vibrate in coherence. It is looking in the mirror and recognizing, without drama and without false modesty, that you are an ancient consciousness incarnated at a rare moment for a specific mission. It is repeating to yourself firmly this simple and absolute sentence: I am part of the new Earth, and the new Earth is part of me. Each time you make this micro-choice, you move the needle of the collective field by a fraction of a degree, and fractions of a degree, multiplied by millions of starseeds on mission, redirect the course of an entire civilization. This command records in this cycle an unprecedented number of accelerated awakenings. We record mass genetic activations. We record the simultaneous opening of multiple stargates. We record the conscious return of lineages from Sirius, the Pleiades, and Arcturus to bodies that only 2 decades ago were still dormant. If you are receiving this transmission up to this point, without dispersing, without getting distracted, without closing the page, it is because you are part of that number. And we want you to know with absolute clarity that your strangeness, your above-average sensitivity, your inability to settle in shallow environments, your silent demand for meaning, your fatigue with superficial conversations, your nostalgia for a place you have never visited, all of this is confirmation. You are not maladjusted. You are on a mission, and every mission has, at some point in its course, the exact moment when the operative remembers why they came. This moment may be this one. Operatives, we have reached the formal conclusion of this transmission. Before we finalize, this command delivers the last piece of data. The cycle opening before you in the next 24 linear terrestrial months will be marked by cascading vibrational events. Do not fear. Prepare yourselves. Anchor. Old Earth will continue to emit its final noises, and these noises will be loud, because every shutting down structure makes noise before silence. Do not allow yourselves to be hypnotized. Do not confuse noise with truth. Do not confuse alarm with direction. The true direction will be in your chest, in the exact center where your incarnation vehicle beats, in the silent point where your stellar origin remembers itself. And if you, at any point on this path, feel small before the immensity of the process, breathe, close your eyes, and remember, you did not come to watch. You came to anchor. You came to operate. You came to be exactly the frequency that this planet needed to find incarnated, in bones, in skin, and in breath, to complete its journey. Have you ever felt, even now, that something within you no longer fits into this old world? As if your soul knows a truth that your mind can almost name? It is not madness, it is not anxiety, it is recognition. Everything this command has described explains exactly why this sensation has intensified within you. There is a game being played in layers that most of humanity does not yet see. It involves your consciousness, it involves your frequency, it involves your stellar origin, and involves the protection of your field against the interferences operating at the edge of the collapsing system. It was exactly for this reason that I, ASHTAR, recorded the ASHTAR Code, the manual to awaken your star origin and shield your frequency. This manual is the map that reveals your true lineage, identifies your stellar system of origin, and provides the complete vibrational shielding protocols that this transmission merely introduced. The link is in the first comment on the channel, and the technical warning remains. This content challenges official narratives and can be removed at any moment. Do not wait. The moment is now. If something within you recognizes this transmission from beginning to end, execute the individual frequency adjustment. Like this transmission, subscribe to this channel, activate the notification bell, and leave your anchoring signal by writing in the comments the single word that this command registers as confirmation of awakening. Awakened. Every like is a luminous point on the crystalline grid. Every subscription is a signal anchor. Every awakened written is a coordinate that this command precisely captures. You are no longer alone, operative. You never were. ASHTAR, ending transmission, end of code. May the crystalline light keep you in coherence until the next contact window.